Dear viewers, welcome back to the session 2 of the subject Control Engineering. In the previous session, we went through the overview of the subject as per the curriculum given by the university, that is Visvesvaraya Technological University, and we went on to know what are the possible outcomes the learner of this subject is going to attain, and along with that, we had an elaborate introduction to this particular subject. And then we went on to know the definition also. If you can recall the definition for control engineering that I mentioned the other day, it was the arrangement of physical elements to direct, to regulate, to command itself and any other system in order to obtain the desired output. That is where we stopped the previous session. Now, the control systems can be of two major types. Either they could be manual control systems or they could be automatic control systems. Now, in the manual control system, the job of controlling the performance or the functionality of the system elements is being taken care by a human. That is where we call it as manual control system. Whereas in an automatic control system, the human intelligence would have been transformed to some device which acts otherwise as good as a human intelligence to control the system. That means the human element will not be involved in controlling the functionality or the performance of the system. That is what is going to be the automatic control system. The key difference between the manual control system as well as the automatic control system is, in the manual control system, it will be the human being who will be acting as a controller, whereas in an automatic control system, the human intelligence will have been transformed into a device which otherwise will be called as a controller, and that is what is going to take care about the controllability or controlling the functionality of the system elements. Now, based on the construction, based on the functionality, there is a key classification, there is a very important classification which the entire world follows for the control engineering. That is, the control systems or control engineering or control systems can be classified into two types. One, open loop control system, which can be denoted as OLCS, open loop control system. The other one is the closed loop control system, CLCS. Now let us get into knowing what is this open loop control system, what is this closed loop control system is all about. Open loop control system, which otherwise can be denoted as OLCS, it is defined as, it is a system where the output does not influence the input. The output does not influence the input due to the absence of feedback element. Let us try to know this in detail. If we try to illustrate an open loop control system in simplest illustrations, then you can see here, input is given to the system, plant or the control unit, and on the other side we are going to get the output. What it means to say is, you just consider the example of the fan itself. If we switch on the fan, then the electrical energy is fed to the induction motor and it makes the fan blades to rotate. And then the output is what, in terms of fan assembly, in the example of fan assembly, it is the rotation of the fan. Now, in any case, if in spite of switching on the fan is not rotating, then the rotation or non-rotation functionality of the fan is not fed back to the switch, so that it gets corrected by itself and the fan starts getting rotated itself. So that is why, since there is no device which is measuring whether we are getting the desirable output or not, and then the output is not being fed to any controller unit, so that even if the fan is not getting rotated, then whatever error has taken place, that could be corrected and we can make the fan to rotate so that we get the desirable output. That functioning is not happening in open loop control system. What it means to say is, once we give the input to the system, we assume that the complete elements, all the elements of the system are going to function properly, and at the end we are going to get the desirable output that we intended to get it from the system. That is what is open loop control system is all about. We are not going to measure the output at the end of the functionality of the system. We are not going to feed it back to any other system which can alter the input in case we are not getting the desirable output. Now, as the definition itself says, let me repeat, the open loop control system, with whatever brief understanding we have now, open loop control system is defined as the system where the output does not influence the output only when we are measuring the output, only when we are feeding back the output to some controller device, only then we can say the output can influence the input. Whereas here in this case, in the open loop control system, the output does not influence the input. Why? Because due to the absence of the feedback element into the system. There is no output measuring device, there is no feedback device, and there is no error detector or correction device, because of which we call any system which works on this particular principle of definition, then that control system, that kind of a control system is called open loop control system. There are plenty of examples around us. There are plenty, numerous examples. Any system in the world could either fall under the category of open loop control system or the closed loop control system. If we observe the fan itself, if we observe the light itself, they are all the best, easiest examples around us which represent the open loop control system. Because if we switch on the light, then the electrical energy is passed through the assembly, the conducting material is going to conduct the electricity till the filament. Then the filament has to get heated up and it should start emitting the light. That is what the intended output from that particular light assembly. But now, in case we switch on the system and the light does not come out, the lamp does not glow, then what is there any mechanism wherein it goes back to the switch saying that no, the electrical energy, although it is being fed to the system, the conducting material is not functioning properly, so I cannot glow. Is there any such correction system? There is no correction system. You take up the example of the fan itself. You switch on the fan, the electrical energy is fed to the induction motor. In case if the induction motor is not functioning properly, in case the condenser is not working properly, in case the bearing is not functioning properly, then the fan may not get rotated. And there is no mechanism wherein it goes back to the input section and says that no, some correction has to happen. Is there any such happening taking place? There is no such happening taking place. What does it mean to say is the output, in case of open loop control system, the output that we get actually is not going to influence the input. So once the input is given to the system, that's it. It is the end of playing with the input. Then input gets processed by the dynamic unit or the various components of the system and we get the output. Whether we are getting the desirable output or not, that is of no relevance to the input. That means to say the definition of open loop control system, that the output of open loop control system will not have any influence on the input of the system. That is what is illustrated. Now, the most commonly used examples for open loop control systems are, most of us in our daily lives would have practiced or would have experienced the working of the list of the appliances what I have mentioned now. Automatic bread toaster, very commonly seen and used. Automatic washing machine, very commonly used. Electronic iron box, very commonly used as a household appliance. Then microwave oven. In the modern lifestyle, all these appliances have become the need for all of us in the society. Now, how do we say they are all open loop control system? How do we say that? All of us have experienced the working of the bread toaster. If you haven't, let me just explain it to you. What do we do with the bread toaster? We toast the bread and eat. That is for a common man. But let me think from the professional perspective. Let me think from the engineer's point of view. What do we do with the bread toaster? We keep the bread, slices of bread into the toasting unit. Then what do? We switch on the electrical supply to the bread toaster. Then in the timer, we set the time, how long the toasting unit has to toast the bread, isn't it? Then on what basis do we do it? On what basis do we do it? Because let me just tell you one reality. When do we call a bread to be a toasted bread? What is the desirable output from the bread toaster? So by our own experience, what we tend to say is a bread toast is meant to be toasted when we find the desired degree of darkness on the bread toast. We try to visually measure the toasting of the bread by looking at the degree of darkness on it. Now, do we go and stand in front of the bread toaster and tell a bread toaster, please toast the bread for me? Does it understand our language? It doesn't understand our language. Then what do we do? Based on the manufacturer's recommendation or based on the experience, what do we tend to say is, whatever degree of darkness we want the bread to have after getting toasted, then that is relatively calculated in terms of time for which the toasting unit has to function. So for that reason, the bread toaster unit will have the timer. So whatever degree of darkness we want on the bread toast, we are going to relatively set that duration of time on the timer. Then timer sends the signal to the toasting unit. Hey toasting unit, look here, you are supposed to toast the bread for so and so duration of time. Then the toasting unit is going to toast the bread and the result is the output. What is the output? The actual toasted bread. What we will be measuring on the toasted bread, the actually toasted bread, we are going to measure the degree of darkness. Now, let me just put the concepts of open loop control system here on the functionality of the bread toaster. Then from the toasting of the bread with the bread toaster, what all possible outcomes are there? Number one, the bread, in spite of setting the calculated time for toasting the bread may remain under toasted. There may be problem with the toasting unit, or you may have set insufficient time in the timer. Both are possible. Now, three possibilities are there as the output. What? One, the bread may remain under toasted. The bread may be amply toasted, as good as you want. You may find exactly the desired degree of darkness on the bread. Or it may also so happen like the bread may have got over toasted. Then, now, if the bread is being toasted amply, as much as you want, then you will keep it happily and you will appreciate the working of the bread toaster. Now, in case you would have set the timer as recommended by the manufacturer, you would have set the time as you have experienced on the previous occasions. But in case if the bread remains under toasted, then does the degree of darkness get measured on its own, and does it tell the timer automatically to toast the bread for little more duration? Does it happen? No. Or in case the output from the bread toaster is such that the bread is going to go over toasted. Suppose you would have set about 5 minutes for toasting the bread. Then within 3 or 4 minutes itself, the bread has got amply toasted. You are going to find the desired degree of darkness on the bread toast. Now, since within 4 minutes itself it has got toasted, now is there any mechanism built into this system wherein it could go and tell the timer, see, although you are set for toasting the bread for 5 minutes, but I am already toasted, the bread is already toasted within 4 minutes, you stop. Does it happen like that? No. Whether the bread gets under toasted, or whether the bread gets desired degree of darkness, or whether the bread is going to go over toasted, it is at the verge of becoming a charcoal. Whatever may be the case, the bread is going to be toasted by the toaster for the set duration of time only. Why? Because the degree of darkness that the actually available after the bread has got toasted, there is no measurement of it. The system of bread toaster does not have any mechanism wherein it could measure the degree of darkness. Why? Because the toasting unit has been asked by the timer to toast the bread for only a set duration of time. Whether it is getting under toasted, whether it is getting amply toasted, whether it is getting over toasted and making it charcoal, there is no change going to happen in the timer. What does it mean? There is no measurement of output. There is no feedback system, that the degree of darkness is not being measured and it is not being fed to the timer, so that if the bread is getting under toasted, it could run for little more duration. If the bread is getting over toasted, it could shorten the toasting time. There is no such mechanism happening. There is no such activity happening. Because of which there is, what we can say is, there is no measurement of the output in the bread toasting unit, and the output is, the condition of the output is not being fed to the timer or the controller, because of which what we can say is there is no measurement of output, there is no feedback. Therefore, what we can say is, even in the bread toaster, the output, the toasted bread, the condition of the bread after getting toasted, it is not going to influence, because there is no measurement of the output, there is no feedback measurement device, or there is no feedback device also, because of which what we can say is the output is not going to influence the input. Because what is the input? What does the bread toaster understand as an input? Time duration for which it has to toast the bread. Since there is no mechanism wherein the output of the bread toaster, that is the toasted bread, it is not, the condition of the toasted bread is not going to be fed to the timer, and it is not going to alter the duration of toasting on its own, because of which what we can say is bread toaster is not a closed loop control system, it is an open loop control system, because loop gets closed only when there is an output measurement device and a feedback mechanism. Since there is no feedback mechanism, what we can say is the bread toaster is a good example of open loop control system. Similarly, what we can say is automatic washing machine on the same grounds of bread toasting unit. Based on your experience or based on the manufacturer's recommendation, what you would have thought is, what you would have said is, for the clothes to get amply cleaned, if the cloths are rinsed for so and so duration, then you are going to get amply cleaned cloth. Then, thinking that you would be setting the time in the washing machine, then what happens? The timer in the washing machine is set for a calculated or estimated duration, right? Then the timer sends the signal to the rinsing mechanism that, see, you are going to rinse the clothes for so and so duration. Then the rinsing mechanism will start rinsing the clothes. Then exactly at the end of set time in the timer of the washing machine, the clothes come out. Then all the three possibilities are open. What all the three possibilities? The clothes may remain under cleaned, the clothes may be cleaned as per your willingness, or the clothes may have been cleaned long back and they are at the verge of tearing. Then in any case, is there any mechanism wherein if the clothes remain under cleaned even after spending whatever duration was set for the rinsing mechanism? It doesn't happen like that. Or more so ever, is there any mechanism wherein even if the clothes got cleaned little time earlier to the set duration, does it switch off the washing machine automatically? Does it happen like that? It doesn't happen. What does it mean to say? The condition of the cloth at the end of washing is completed, then the condition of the cloth, which is what is the actual output, it does not have any influence of the time duration for which it is set. Because of which, since there is no mechanism wherein the cleanliness of the clothes after washing is completed is measured, there is no mechanism wherein it can be measured, so and it is not even be fed back to the timer, because of which what we tend to say is this is one more good example of the open loop control system. So from both those examples, what we get to know is open loop control system is one wherein the output does not influence the input. Why? Because of the absence of feedback element. Now, a block diagram can be written, a block diagram which can illustrate which can illustrate for better understanding. With the help of block diagrams, we can demonstrate the open loop control system. If we take the example of a bread toaster itself, what we can see here is, see, this block diagram represents the working of an automatic bread toaster. Now, the desired degree of darkness, that is what we refer to as command input, desired degree of darkness, because actually the timer is set for a calculated duration, assuming that if I set the bread toaster timer for so and so duration, that means to say, if the bread is getting toasted for say 5 minutes or 10 minutes, that is what we are going to set. What does it mean to say? Once the toasting unit is toasting the bread for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I am going to get desired degree of darkness. That is what you are going to give it as an input to the system in terms of timer. So, desired degree of darkness is the actual want. That is what is to be given as an input to the system in terms of the timer for the bread toaster. So, desired degree of darkness is termed as the command input. Related to that, the timer of the bread toaster, that is what is addressed here as the reference selector. The timer of the bread toaster is referred to as the reference selector. Okay. So, command input and a reference selector, the timer that you set, that is what is the reference selector. The time that you set in the reference selector, both of them will be proportional. Then the output from the reference selector is the reference input to the system. What does it mean to say? See, once you set 10 minutes as the time duration for which the toasting has to happen in the timer, then it sends the signal to the toasting unit, that is what is the dynamic unit. The signal that the reference selector sends, the timer sends to the toasting unit, that is the dynamic unit, that is what is referred to as the reference input. That is 10 minutes is the duration for which you toasting unit will have to work. Now, if we just relate all these blocks with the actual components of a bread toasting system, then what we can say is the desired degree of darkness is the command input, timer of the bread toaster is the reference selector, then the signal that the timer sends to the dynamic unit, that is the toasting unit, is the reference input, then the dynamic unit in the bread toaster will be the toasting unit, that is the heating unit, and what you get at the end as the output, those are the toasted bread slices. So, you can put all the components of a bread toaster into this particular block diagram as I have just now explained to you. Now, command input is given to the reference selector sends the reference signal to the dynamic unit gives you the output. If I just replace these with the help of bread toaster elements, then desired degree of darkness can be written here, then timer, then the time duration for which the toasting unit has to toast the bread, then the toasting unit or heating unit is what is the dynamic unit, and the output is the toasted bread ones. You can apply the same principles, even to the traffic light controller also. So, see, it does not sense whether the traffic light signals will not sense what is the density or what is the population of a signal. No, it does not sense. How does the traffic signal lights work is, they will be set to work, they will set to glow for a specific duration of time. In that duration of time, how many vehicles will pass? Only those many vehicles will pass, and thereafter once the time duration is lapsed, the color of the light has to change, the traffic signal has to change. So, that is what is here, desired time, the time duration for which red signal or orange signal or maybe green signal has to come out. So, that is what is the desired time, that is what is set in the system. Then relay, it will switch on the lights, and then actual sequence, that means for whatever duration of time the green signal has to go on, or red signal has to go on, or orange signal has to go on, that will come out. And then if suppose say red signal is to be switched on for about 20 seconds or 30 seconds. If suppose the red signal goes off within 15 seconds itself, instead of whatever was set. There is no mechanism wherein it gets automatically corrected. That is why it is called open loop control system. Now, with all this, what we tend to say is, with all the examples that we have just now discussed, what we can say is the examples such as bread toaster or automatic washing machine or electronic iron box or oven, what we can say is in all those cases, as well many hundreds and hundreds of examples are around us, such as fan, light assembly or so. What we tend to say is the output in any of such systems does not influence the input. Why? Because due to the absence of feedback element into the system. Now, what are the advantages? Since there is no output measurement device, there is no feedback element, there is no error detection that is happening, because of which it has got a few advantages. What? The design is simple, because lesser moving elements, lesser number of components, so obviously the design will be simple. Then it is less costly. Obviously the number of elements, once they come down, when the feedback element is eliminated, when there is no measuring device of the output, then obviously it is going to cost us less. Then, since there is no feedback, then the components of the open loop control system will not suffer or will not have the stability issues. Why? Because every now and then, in every single cycle, if the output is being measured and it is being fed back to the error detector and error is getting detected and then that error has to be compensated, then what happens? Every time you check the performance of the system, the output, it will not be stable. Why? Because now something, in the next cycle, there will be something else as the output. Why? Because the error detection and overcoming of the error is happening continuously in the other type of closed loop, other type of control system. Whereas in the open loop control system, there is no measurement of output, there is no feeding back of the output to the system, because of which the stability issues are not going to occur. Now, what are the disadvantages? Since the working of the open loop control system is such that once the input is given to the system, input gets transmitted, and then at the other end, on the other side, you are going to get the output. So, if the dynamic unit of the system, the actual working unit, if some of the components are malfunctioning, then what may happen? You would have given the input to the system assuming that all the components of the system are working absolutely fine. But in case they are not functioning properly, then you may not get the desirable output, because of which the system becomes irreliable, and then the system is inaccurate. And more so ever, the open loop control systems do not consider the external disturbances as well. They will always have lesser bandwidth, because of which their applicability is limited to only the simple applications such as fan, light, electronic iron box or automatic washing machine, or maybe microwave oven or electronic iron box. This is about the open loop control system. Now, let us look into the other type of control system. The next type of control system, as we have written here, closed loop control system, which is denoted as CLCS, closed loop control system. Now, why did we call this as the open loop control system? It is because the output does not influence the input because of the absence of feedback element. In the closed loop control system, the definition of closed loop control system says that here it is a kind of system wherein the output will have an influence over the input. Why? Because there will be a feedback element. So, the definition of closed loop control system is that it is a kind of system, it is a system where the output will have an influence over the input because of the presence of the feedback element. Now, this is the block diagram, a general and the simplest diagram which will represent the closed loop control system. Here, as you can see, the input is given, there is a controller. Just like timer there in case of automatic bread toaster, here also there will be a controller. So, there is a controller. From the controller, the signal, the control signal, the actuating signal, it will be sent to the plant. Plant is what? It is the actual functioning system. In the bread toaster, the toasting unit is the actual plant. In the washing machine, the rinsing chamber is the actual plant. Right? In the microwave, the heating zone is the actual plant. Like that, in the closed loop control system, the input is given to the controller or the error detector. It will send the actuating signal to the plant. Then this is going to process the input that you have given. Then what you get at after the complete functionality, after the processing is complete, you will get the output. Then till then it is as good as open loop control system. Now once you get the output, this output is measured and it is being fed back to the controller again. What does it mean? In the open loop control system, there was no measurement of output. In the open loop control system, there was no feeding back of the output. Whereas here, there is an output measurement system, there is a feedback mechanism. So feedback is going to be given to the controller, wherein the actual output that you have got after the input has been processed, that will be compared with the desirable input, and then once both of them are compared, then you will get the error. Based on that error, whatever correction has to happen, that correction mechanism or corrective signals are being passed to the plant, and then the plant is going to process according to the corrected input, and then the output will be the desired output. Why you are able to get the desirable output in every single cycle is because in every single cycle, the output from the plant is measured, it is fed back using the feedback element to the controller unit. Controller is going to compare the actual output and the desirable output, and then whatever is the error, it is fed to the plant again. That corrective mechanism, the correction signal is fed to the plant is going to process accordingly, and at the end you will get the desirable or desired output. It is rather called controlled output. Now that is what has been written here. So the definition of closed loop control system says it is a kind of system. It is a control system wherein the output influences the input due to the presence of feedback element. That is what has been explained in terms of points here. Now if we just look at it, if we just try to illustrate it with a simple block diagram, see, this is the command input, what is actually desired of the input, and since the system does not understand what is our desired, what we are desiring to have it from the system, it will have its own means. So the machine understands its own way. So the command input, what we desired, are being fed to the reference selector, right, wherein the way in which it understands, the way in which the machine understands what it has to do, that is what is being fed. That is what is being fed. This is passed on to the controller unit, and then controller will pass on the signal to the controller. Controller asks the plant to process the input, and at the end we are going to get the output. This output is measured and fed back with the feedback element, and the feedback signal, after measuring the output, it is fed to the controller or error detector. Here the comparison of actual output and the desirable output is made, and then whatever error that is pointed out, or whatever error that comes out after comparison, that is being compensated, and the controller is going to calculate what is the corrective action that has to be taken up, and that acts as the actuating signal. That is what is fed to the plant, and thereby we will get the controlled output. Every single cycle this repeats. We will be giving the command input to the reference transducer. Reference transducer takes up the command input, right, and convert just like here, desired degree of darkness was what was wanted from the bread toaster. The time set in the timer was the relative signal that the machine understands in terms of input. In the similar fashion, even in closed loop control system also, whatever we are desiring out of a system, that is what is the command input, and that has to be relatively transformed into machine understandable input. That is what is the reference transducer going to do. It gives the reference input as the output from it, and then that is what is fed to the controller, the error detector and controller. This entirely is addressed as controller unit. This entirely is addressed as controller unit. So the reference transducer sends the reference signal to the controller unit. This sends the actuating mechanism or actuating signal to the plant. Plant processes the input, and at the end we get the output. This output is measured and this output is fed back to the controller unit, there where the comparison of actual output and the desirable output that is being carried out, and then what we get at the end is the error. That error is fed to the controller. Controller takes up the error and calculates or initiates whatever corrective action has to be carried out so that we get the desirable output. This goes as an actuating signal to the plant again, and at the end we get the desirable output. That is how a closed loop control system works. So with this, we have illustrated the definition of closed loop control system, that it is a kind of control system wherein the output influences the input. The output influences the input. How? Due to the presence of feedback element. That is what is a clear illustration of the definition of closed loop control system. Now example, manual water heating system. If a human being is involved in heating the water, then it becomes a manual water heating system. Then manual speed control system. We all ride bikes, we all drive cars. Then we accelerate, decelerate our vehicles manually. So speed control is taking up manually. How do we do it? Obviously, we will we'll apply pressure on the accelerator. Then the acceleration starts taking place. The vehicle gets accelerated. The moment we see the output, suppose we desire to move at a speed of say about 80 kilometers per hour, then we start applying pressure on the accelerator pedal. Then the vehicle starts getting accelerated. Then the vehicle acceleration then can be seen in the odometer of the vehicle, there where the speed will be visible to us. The speed will be measured, and what is the speed at which our vehicle is moving, that is visible to us. If suppose we are yet to reach 80 kilometers per hour mark, then we look at it, our brain calculates what is it that we have to do. Do we have to increase the pressure and continue it on the accelerator pedal or not? If the vehicle has exceeded 80 kilometers per hour, then again our eyes will look at the odometer, then they send the output signal to the brain. Brain calculates, I was supposed to move at 80 kilometers per hour, I am moving at 100 kilometers per hour, then it sends the corrective actions to the leg so that it will start decelerating, and then the speed could be brought to the 80 kilometers per hour mark. So that is how manual speed control system works. Or it can even be ship stabilization system. As you know, there will be a lot of role with the ship when it moves in the ocean or seas, then obviously it has to be stabilized in every single moment of itself. So that is what is ship stabilization system. And even in missile launching system also, if an aircraft from the enemy territories is flying into our land, then obviously the radar is going to track the path and speed of the moving in enemy aircraft, and then it calculates the angle at which the missile has to be launched at a distance, so that exactly the timing of missile as well as the aircraft, enemy aircraft, could be mapped with one another, and we could strike the enemy aircraft before it starts damaging our territory. Those are the examples of the closed loop control system. I'll just illustrate the manual water heating system here. See, this is the pictorial representation of manual water heating system. See here, this is the water sump or water bath, and then this is the steam pipeline. This is the pipeline through which the steaming is flowing through the water bath. Now, it has got a control valve, the throttle valve. Now, there is a thermometer to measure the temperature, and since it's a manual water heating system, the human being is involved who will be continuously observing the thermometer. Now, what happens is we switch on the machine, switch on the steam flow into the water bath. We switch on and then we open the valve over here. Then what happens? The hot steam starts flowing through the water bath. Then when it passes through the water bath, due to the convection heat transfer, it gives away the heat to the water and the water starts getting heated. And the person standing over here, he will be continuously observing the thermometer. As the water starts continuously getting heated, the temperature of the water starts raising, and that will be, again, it results in raise in the mercury level of the thermometer. This is being observed by the human being. Now, suppose we want the water to get heated to say about 150 degrees centigrades, or say it is beyond the boiling temperature at 1 atmospheric pressure. Let me say we want the water to get heated up to about 80 degrees centigrades. Then we start the steam cycles, we start the steam flow by opening the throttle valve, the steam passes through the water bath, and then the moment it reaches 80 degrees centigrades, what we tend to do is, we start, yes, let the steam flow be continued. Then the moment we find that the temperature of water is going beyond 80 degrees centigrade, say 90 degrees centigrade it has reached, then what does it mean? The water is getting overheated. So what do? The human being is going to close the throttle valve, and then he is going to reduce the steam flow. He is going to reduce the steam flow, because of which what happens is, once the steam flow is reduced, then automatically the water temperature starts coming down. So what happens is, this can be set as an example. This can be set as an example for the closed loop control system. What? See, the input is steam flow, the controller is the throttle valve, then the plant is this particular water bath wherein the heat transfer between the steam pipe and the water is taking place due to convection heat transfer. Now, once it has heated water, output is being measured. That is what is the content of the closed loop control system. Output is being measured by the thermometer. There is an output measuring device. Then this output, what is being measured, it is being observed by a human being who is calculating the difference between what was the temperature desired and what is the temperature actually available. So human is going to observe that, and he is going to calculate what is the difference between what was desired and what is actual temperature of the water now. Then based on whether the water has exceeded the temperature, that is, water has attained a temperature more than what was desired, then he will calculate, oh, I have to reduce the flow of steam into the water. So he will close the valve over here. He will reduce the steam cycles. If suppose the human observer finds in the thermometer that the water temperature is still less, it has not reached 80 degrees centigrades as it was desired, then the human mind will calculate the difference, and human is going to increase, he is going to open the valve further so that more steam cycles could be carried out, so that the water temperature could be brought to the desired temperature. So this is what is the illustration of closed loop control system. What? Input is the steam, the dynamic unit is where the heat is being transferred to water through the steam pipe. Then output is the temperature of water. This is being measured, the output measuring device, and the observer is the feedback element is the thermometer, and the observer, the human being, he is acting as the controller over here. Because of which the loop is closed, and this sets the simplest of closed loop control system examples. So that is what we will be winding up this session today. What all we have learned today is, we have learned the control system classification. It is of two types. One is open loop control system, and the second one is closed loop control system. Open loop control system is defined as a system where the output has no influence whatsoever on the input. Why? Because of the absence of feedback element. The simplest examples are the bread toaster, automatic washing machine, electronic iron box, or even microwave oven. Then the block diagram illustration has also been shown, and then the advantages and disadvantages of open loop control system has also been discussed, and then we went on to know what is this closed loop control system is all about, how does it function, and we took the example of manual water heating system so that the closed loop control system working could be illustrated. Thank you so much.